Hello and welcome to this video. Normally I don't do videos on full moons or new moons, but this one I think is kind of special, and I do have affinity with this full moon because I've got my moon in Aries as well, and actually I've got my moon on 7 degrees of Aries. So I think that what I'm experiencing, maybe I can share it, and especially this video is for people who have personal planets or axes like the Ascendant or the Descendant, MC or IC on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 degrees of Libra, Capricorn, Cancer and Aries. That is important. Of course, on a collective level, you only have to look at the news to see what's going on and to see what this square, this Pluto, squaring up to Uranus and being triggered by faster planets. You always gonna see it on different levels. But on an individual level, that is something very interesting. First of all, I want to make a distinction between people who have planets, you know, in one of those 4 signs around 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 degrees, because this means that they're ending a Pluto-Uranus transit. So Pluto is at around 7 degrees of Capricorn and Uranus is around 7 degrees of Aries. So when these people have had a Pluto-Uranus transit that is almost ending, at the end of the year they had the transit. So there's a distinction between those people. The distinction if you have those personal planets around 8, 9, 10, 11 degrees, then it means that you're at the beginning of this transit. Now, first of all, so this video is specifically for those people who have personal planet or sensitive points on these degrees. And what's gonna happen this weekend, the 29th and 30th of September, the moon is coming to 7 degrees of Aries and is going to oppose the sun at 7 degrees, 8 degrees, 7, 8 degrees of Libra. So it's going to trigger the Pluto-Uranus transit. Of course, this Pluto-Uranus transit is on the background, but especially people who have these personal planets will know this, that you only feel this energy very heavily when a personal planet, or not a personal planet, but a faster planet triggers it. Like with Mercury. Mercury is a very nervous planet when it triggers this square, and you can feel very nervous and very excited. And the Mars also. When Mars was a couple of months ago conjuncting Uranus, then it also conjuncting, what am I saying? Not conjuncting, opposing Uranus. Yes, opposing Uranus. Mars was opposing Uranus. Then it triggers this whole thing again, and then something comes to the surface. So every time there is this faster planet, it triggers this aspect. So this is going to happen in the weekend again, or a bit before. Let's have a look when you've got planets like I have, 7 degrees of Aries or 7 degrees of Capricorn, or a sun at 6 degrees of Cancer, and so on. What can happen is that, first I want to say to people, don't don't be too afraid. And sorry, because I'm having a little cold. Sorry for that. But otherwise I would be Libra. And now I've lost my way. Yes, when you have this transit at the and you're almost at the end of this transit, it doesn't mean to say that something big is gonna happen this week. I don't feel it that way. You know, I can be completely wrong, of course, but I don't feel it like that. On the other hand, I think that when people are at the end of the transit and they think and they feel that they have done their part of the shifts that they have made, because it's all about big changes in your life that you're going to make. Whether it is a moon or a sun that is involved, or a Venus or a Mars, it's all about rather big shifts in your life. And so when you're at the end of the transit, I think it's more going to be a culmination. So I think that's exciting. So be excited rather than be afraid of the transit, because I'm getting a lot of emails of people who are really afraid, actually. And it probably reflects my state as well, but don't tell anyone. But I only want to say that for those people and who really feel, you know, I've done all the effort, and just embrace this weekend, and hopefully you get excited about something, and there is a kind of a culmination. Now, if you're someone who has had this transit and who hasn't made the changes yet, and everyone feels on a very deep level what these changes are all about, it could be anything. It could be maybe that, you know, the kind of changes are major, but for someone else it's not major. You see what I mean? So for someone else, the fears that someone has to go through to make the change is for someone else maybe just a tiny little thing. So it's very personal and it's very unique. But it could mean that different stories, like you hadn't had a relationship for 5 or 6 years, and now you're having this transit on your Venus, let's say, and all of a sudden there's someone knocking on your door, and you're afraid of that person, because always with Uranus, Pluto, fear is involved, and fear has of course always a reason. So maybe that person had a bad relationship, and you know, saw all the negative sides of the relationship, and is now very afraid. So there's nothing that you can do about, or yes, you can do stuff about the fear, but it's not helping when people are saying to you, oh, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. You just have to acknowledge this fear, but still have to step forward, still have to open the door for that new lady or that new man that is standing on your door. You can't close it. And the same with maybe you want to follow a new study. Maybe you're 35 or maybe 40s, and you've got this opportunity. Now it is the time of the year, I guess, to go to college. Yes. And you want to do that study, but you also have a part-time job, and you also have a kid, and how do you have to combine this all? Just try to do it, because otherwise, you know, next year when the transit is over, you're going to think, oh, I should have done this and that. That's all about this Pluto-Uranus transit, to do the things that you really deep down inside feel that you've got to do it. You really feel, and you know, you already, actually, you know it all already, I guess, but there is this fear involved, and just try to turn the fear into excitement, and then you'll be fine. So when people are at the end of the transit and haven't done anything to make a shift, it can mean that during the weekend something happens that from the outside, outside, what kind of accent is that? From the outside something happens, and then they feel as they don't have any control over it. I always try to know what's going to happen, but we don't always know what's going to happen. So expect some things going on that can make you do the step, even though it's a bit late. So what for the people who have these planets around 9, 10, 11, maybe 12 degrees of Aries, Capricorn, etc. What happens then? Then it means they're at the beginning of this transit, which can also be a very exciting time and the time of restlessness. So expect for those people that maybe something happens, again from the outside, or from the inside, a feeling, a very deep need of change. And something happens that starts the process. Could be the case for those people that around the weekend something happens and they say, hey, whoa, now I really have to change. Maybe you know, someone's gonna throw some plates towards you, or some China towards you, or how do you call that? And all of a sudden you say, hey, this is going too far. I really have to adjust my situation. You know, these things that happen, that go over the top or that make that click, those things don't have to be that severe, but they just trigger you, and you say, I can't deal with that anymore, and you have to make the shift. And that's the very beginning of your Pluto-Uranus transit that you're having. So that's a very positive thing, but it's not always nice. So I hope I have made some things clear about this this Pluto-Uranus transit. And of course, it is in Aries, and so expect, you know, the moon is in Aries. The thing about moon in Aries is it's well, the not so positive thing about moon in Aries is the poor impulse control. Yes, sometimes that's not nice, but actually it means that sometimes you need it. You need to act. And I think for a lot of people that's going to be the case. They don't have to think anymore. Now it's time to do stuff. Now it's time to put things into action. You know, and with this fast reaction, I mean, the moon is always the emotions, yes, but it's also the way that we react upon things. So with having this moon in Aries, this full moon around the weekend, shows that people are going to react very quickly. So like someone with a moon in Aries is like that turned on, is like, you know, it's very easy sexually turned on, it's very easy enthusiastic, it's very easy angry, it's all very quick. So the emotions, the feelings inside are fiery, but it's very easily triggered. So expect some that things can trip you up very easily, and hopefully it's on the positive side. You know, the enthusiastic side of moon in Aries can be, you know, very enriching too. So try to take advantage of this energy that makes you this courageous step forward, and maybe overdoing it a little bit. That's also the fact with Aries. Sometimes they overdo a little bit, but that's just to hide the fear, and they want to turn the fear into excitement, and then they go forwards. So I really do hope that you enjoy this full moon in Aries. I really hope you can pull it into something positive. And of course, sometimes we really can't control the outside world. It's just come to us, and just try to expect the unexpected. But the basic, or the main thing is, I guess, try to get exciting, to be excited about it rather than fearful about this whole full moon. So wish you all the luck. If something very, very strange or out of the blue happens this weekend, I'm gonna tell you on Monday, unless it's very personal, of course. But anyway, I will. If I'm not going to make another video on Monday, it means, you know, it's basically as I said in this video. Okay, thank you for watching. Have a good full moon during the weekend, and see you later. Bye bye.